Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Wedding Film School Live. We are back. It has been another week, and I am joined today by my typical co-host, Jay. Jay, how are you doing?
Typical old average co-host, me.
Typically average. That's how. We are excited to be here.
Sorry, audio dropped for a second. I don't know what happened there, but we're back.
Hello, hello.
We're back.
Yeah, we're back. Excited to be here another Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And this one is an interesting one. We're trying something. I wouldn't say we're trying something new. There was a little thought behind it, but more so, we've got our standard show. We're going to review some awesome films. We're going to hang out as a community, all that stuff. But almost immediately following, I think it's scheduled for 3 p.m., so 2 hours from now, we are dropping a brand new behind-the-scenes video. We are taking, well, not really me, but Jay and Jared are taking you behind the scenes on a real wedding film like we've done so many times before. This one, Jay, I mean, you can pitch it, but I know it's a multi-day luxury wedding.
Yes.
And it was over 100 degrees, and you were hit with tons of the issues. We call them issues, but, you know the things that come up, right?
We can be a little bit more candid, I think, on a live stream because...
That's true, yeah. Maybe not the whole world will see.
Yeah, but so there's
just us, people. It's just us here.
It's just us. There's only like 20, 30 people who watch us. So but anyway,
it's just us.
So
well, that's live, and then like another few hundred will watch.
Maybe like 10,000. We're the most popular YouTube channel in the world. clearly. So,
Mhm.
no, this one's interesting because 100 degrees in Texas is very different than 100 degrees in Vermont. As you know, 100 degrees in Minnesota is very different than
Oh
100
yeah,
degrees in. It's like
it's miserable.
200 degrees is kind of how it
It's
just
like 100 degrees, and you're also like have
swimming
like
in
a
the
yeah,
air.
exactly. You're swimming in the air. I was trying to think of how to say that.
It's so humid and so hot. But also, like, there's all kinds of issues in this film. And first of all, the planner is awesome and amazing. So there's no shade on the planner, but just a
Hmm.
bunch of things happened with the schedule that we were like, I was talking to actually someone, he's in chat now. I think I was talking to Purnell on Instagram.
What's up, Purnell?
And I was like, we really can't show everything.
Yeah,
Like,
there's yeah,
but
yeah.
because we still work in the field, and we want people you want to be careful how you make people look, and anytime there's a scheduling issue, I'm often like, do we put this in there, because I don't want people to think the planner did something wrong.
Yeah.
But
I think it's one of those tough things. Like that's almost a downside. I think one of the things that we always like to promote here for people who are interested in learning from us is that I think one of the things that we, take really seriously or we think is perhaps a benefit of us is
valuable.
we're all valuable is we're all me, myself, sorry, that's the same person. Myself, Jay, and Jared, we are all wedding filmmakers first and foremost. We are still wedding filmmakers. A lot of people will transition into education and they'll transition away from actually shooting weddings. That's not us. It will probably never be us. And so, but the downside of that is we still have our connections that we don't want to soil and our brands that we need to protect.
Well, and
And
that's part
so,
of educating people in the industry is like, don't be an idiot.
yeah, yeah, for
Like,
sure. Don't, yeah, exactly.
like be.
Fitzgerald Films retracted his message, but it said, "I want snow," and I want everybody to know that's what it said.
Yes,
He's
yes.
on the record.
He's on the, but so there's a range of things, if you can read between the lines with this film, if you're watching it, where like we were having to, at one point, like in the film, I'm getting I like to arrive at least 30 to 40 minutes early for a ceremony. I am
Yeah,
arriving 15 minutes early by myself,
stressful.
and they're still shooting while
Yeah,
I'm doing that. So
yeah,
just you can read
wild.
between the lines there what was actually going on and what the challenge was, which was like, we're not in charge of the day.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's just we have to be flexible. We have to adjust. We have to
yes, we're
bend,
we're
not
we're, we're
break, and
following the beat of the drum of a photographer. And so if you want
for
to
sure.
watch this film and you want to understand the dynamics of it, there's a lot of dynamics in the film.
But
So
sorry, keep going.
but when you watch the final film, hopefully you'll see how we accommodated for
Yeah,
not having much portrait time, for having barely any time to set up. Like, we really had to lean into the story,
yeah.
and lean into obviously the location, and what makes that's wedding filmmaking to me.
Yep,
Is you
for
show
sure.
up and you're just like,
Thinking on your toes a little.
yeah, you're just
Well,
trying
and the
to.
other thing is like ultimately, I think there's a lot that can be learned and gleaned from, these behind the scenes videos, guys. Like, if you want to know the flip side of being an educator in weddings, behind the scenes videos are really, really hard. They're hard to shoot. They're hard to edit. They're very long. And so a lot of work goes into these things. So, of course, give your many thanks to Jay and Jared for this one. And just know that, yeah, there's a lot to be learned. There's a lot of awesome little nuggets of information, no matter where you are in your wedding filmmaking
And we're
journey.
going to be in chat. So any questions you
We're gonna be in
have,
chat, and they're just entertaining. I find them to be entertaining as a wedding filmmaker, right?
that's our goal.
And so yeah, that's our goal, of course. And then the interesting twist with this one, Jay. Not only was it 100 degrees, but you delivered two very distinctly different final films. A short one, maybe you would call it a highlight, and
Yep.
then a much longer highlight or feature, or I don't know exactly.
We
how you
call it a
it.
documentary edit because this to me is what a documentary is.
Yeah.
Most people would probably call it like my 12-minute film, So we included both.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch both if you're watching the BTS, but we wanted to include both so that
It's
people would have
interesting.
perspective
Yeah.
on different ways, at least the
For
way
sure.
we try to approach that stuff and the way we like to tell stories. So
And that might be something we touch on a little bit today, but without further ado, let's get to what we're all here for right
film
now before the
critiques
BTS releases, which
slash
is some live film reviews. And while we get that started up, I want to say hello to Fitzgerald Films. Grant, what's up? Hello to Purnell. Thank you for being here. I haven't seen you in a little while. It's good to see you. Ranga, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Good to see you back. Thank you so much for being a member or becoming a member. Grant, I know you're also a member. Thank you. Thank you. And then while we get that first one queued up, we're getting a question. What cameras do we both shoot with? I shoot with the Sony line, so the A7S III is my main camera. Jay, you guys are shooting Lumix?
multi-setup, I would say.
Yeah, you kind of have different ones, different brands.
So
a big team.
Black Magic we shoot on for certain things. We shoot Fujifilm for certain things. We shoot Lumix. I personally primarily shoot Lumix these days. You know, I'm kind of not loyal to any system. Like,
I am a little bit, but I will change. I have changed in my career. I would change again if it made sense, but I'm also something.
Let me guess, you used to be Canon.
Habit. Yeah.
All of us used
honestly,
to be Canon.
that was the only. Yeah, everybody used to be Canon because there wasn't competition really.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's what we shoot with. You can actually check out the first link in our description somewhere. In there,
all the gear,
our kits. And we have a kit we have a kind of a, like, if you're getting into filmmaking or if you're very established, want the best.
We got to refresh that, probably.
I actually did. I went back and did that recently after our whole affiliate
debacle.
Yeah, I was thinking the word. So we have one for Canon. We have one, so an intermediate and an advanced for Canon. We have the same for Sony. We have the same for Lumix. And then we have a Blackmagic kit up there as well.
And
so
if you watch the BTS today, down in the description, all the cameras.
Oh, yeah. What are you guys shooting with there?
That's all Lumix. So all the cameras and everything is in you can just click and see everything we shot with.
Purnell, sweet. I think you're in here. Maybe not. Maybe we'll add you.
Might not. But first one, we got Brandon.
We'll see. Brandon, who ironically is not currently in chat, it seems.
He's always here.
I know, he's always here, and I put it in because he was like, he submitted last week, we didn't get to it.
Do you want to do someone else first?
You want to pull Purnell's and just do that?
Yeah, let's do the Purnell's.
Can you grab it from the all sheet?
Yes.
Or do you want me to put it in there? Okay.
I'm in it. I'll do it if he submitted.
Yeah, he did. Sweet. So Purnell, we'll do yours first, and Brandon, I don't know, man. Clock's ticking. You better get in here. Just kidding.
I'm serious about
kind
that.
of. Yeah.
Cool.
I know of all the times, like, I say we just won't do Brandon's unless he shows up, which totally fine if he doesn't. We'll just save it for another week because I feel like he's always in here. I kind of feel bad doing it almost.
All right. So this is the one with a bunch of Christmas trees, Purnell, right? Is that the one?
I don't know. Kyle and Rachel. That's what he says.
Okay,
does that look right?
Kyle.
I can't see it.
I see Mercedes and Javierto.
He submitted 2.
Oh, which one am I supposed to be looking at?
Maybe the first one is.
It says not finished.
That's his website. His website's not finished. Rachel and Kyle, yeah, here, you want me to Slack it too?
Yeah, just Slack it to me because I clicked on the link and it didn't go to Rachel and Kyle.
I got it here.
Bobby, when do you start up your weddings again?
I already started. I had 2 in January. Isn't that crazy?
That's
I
great.
can't imagine sharing the rest of my life.
There we
go.
go.
But I'm on break until April or something. Well, that's not true. I'm actually helping somebody shoot tomorrow.
Nice.
And Saturday.
Yeah. Got styled shoots up the wazoo this season.
I don't really do this either, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
All right, here we go. So this is Purnell. Is Purnell a member?
Nope.
All right, so we're going to do two and a half minutes of this one. We'll try to hit the highlights. We'll do our very best to understand it. What's the story behind this one?
Yeah, you can, well, I don't know. But for now, if you want to give us any info, you can let us know, and I will look at what you wrote here.
All right, let's get playing then.
Yeah.
I can't imagine sharing the rest of my life with anyone but you by my side.
I kind of like that lighting.
I like it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I kind of like that he held the shot too. I like that.
Yeah.
You looked me in the eyes and you said it. And your face can say it all. So I
If I could sing at this octave, I'd be making a killing
You'd want to be like
with weddings.
another Bon Iver copy. Is it chapters?
I think it is, but I think it's like combined with somebody maybe. I recognize it, but
Kyle, today seems like it's the start of a new journey, but I already belong to you. I first laid my eyes on you and instantly formed a crush in 5th period at 13. You have the biggest heart, the kindest soul. You are my protector and would do anything for those.
Is that like a
most.
first look in
I
front
never
of
feel-
everybody? That's kind of odd.
That girl's dad looks exactly like her.
Wait, was that her dad?
Yeah, he's young looking.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
That's her dad, right?
I don't know. I think so.
Is that the same
Yeah,
guy?
Yeah, it is, yeah. No. I wasn't looking at his face when we started because I was in the chat, and then I was like, oh,
I mean,
that makes way more sense.
they look. He obviously when you see them, but that was like
Yeah.
they got a similar look. We'll say that.
Yeah. All right, keep going. Sorry.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of breeze past the first look a little bit because they're just gonna be talking, and I think we.
And just like walking down the aisle and stuff. Wait, who is that then?
Who is that? It's not her dad.
A childhood friend.
She did a first look with a childhood friend.
Yeah, I guess her dad has passed away.
Okay. Okay, so this is one thing. While I'm looking at it, gotta shoot this
Yeah,
more
man.
steady. Like,
Yeah, and like, well, your horizons are.
well, here's the thing. I'll use my wallet or cell phone. This is cinematic motion. This is cell phone motion.
Yeah.
It's called the steering. I call it the steering wheel effect. You don't want your, like, when you're holding these small cameras handheld, if you're like this, you can see the motion. A lot of guys you see, they don't go like this. You got to hold that in, and so the motion is up and down, and so I can see your camera going like that. Anyway, so
Yeah, that might be a rig issue too.
just needs to be more stable.
Yeah. We swap into a song.
Gives
or
me a great
something?
honor and a privilege.
Yeah,
to
I'll see this
introduce to
transition.
all of you, Mr. and Mrs. Kyle Davis.
I wonder what, Pernell, let us know what camera you're using in chat, please. And in lenses, please, as well. And how many cameras?
Like that drone shot.
That's freaking awesome.
I can honestly
Yeah.
say that I have truly wanted what is best for you. And I genuinely believe in my heart that that's Kyle.
Question. So I think, how do you feel? Do you have to show the venue?
Okay. How about we finish the film and then we talk about that because I think that's a really good point.
It's for you. And I genuinely believe in my heart that that's Kyle.
Or finish whatever amount we're gonna watch.
Honestly, as far back as I can remember,
I just
Rachel
want to get to
was
the.
always the girl for Kyle, and it was clear from day one that they were meant to be together.
So we got toast, 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 more toast.
I can't express how I am.
Check out this football stuff.
Absolutely chosen the perfect partner to start the next chapter
That's some audio and work. There's something up with that. Pernell, curious about that too. What's going on with the audio there?
of your life with. You and Rachel are the most beautiful individuals inside and out, and you make a fabulous couple together.
I think that's like an on mic recorder.
Not
But
bad.
this isn't optimized that much. Alright, skip ahead. Let's see the ending.
I'm just watching this because this is something I'm going to critique. So
Yeah. Wait, let's see the dance, like the lighting setup for this.
it looks nice. I was looking.
Yeah,
at
it looks
that.
like, I don't, do you think he lit?
It looks
yeah.
like he lit this.
It looks like he has the light off. Yeah, okay, that's gotta be it.
Okay, this is why I'm watching this.
Okay.
This handheld approach looks good here. And I think this is the thing about handheld filmmaking. A lot of people, it's not so much that oh, you need to be more stable. You do need to be more stable. That's true. But like, it needs to look appropriate. And I'm like watching this dance and I'm like, oh, the handheld looks good. It's matching the energy of what's happening on screen.
Yep.
Versus like people walking down the aisle. Like, I don't want to see you.
Yeah.
Dance floor coverage looks good. I wish he would switch lenses a little bit. But it looks good. Cool. Nice. Well, first of all, I was going to say before we really review it, your work has gotten a lot better. I can see the improvement as a shooter so much. And so, you know, nice stuff there. But anyway, what do you like about the film? What do you think they could improve on? We're going to do a round of each, guys. So first, what did you like about the film, Bobby?
Okay, I thought there were some nice couple shots. I really like the drone stuff. I know we kind of just stopped and we were just like, whoa. Also, I really liked the way the light was just working for you here. And again, like Jay, like you said, kind of just sitting on that opening. It's like, you know, if it makes sense, I think it makes sense.
Being a patient storyteller is a virtue. Like learning how to be patient is good.
Trying to think some other things. I said couple shots already. I think you got some pretty good coverage throughout the day. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like those are like the things that I was like, yeah, these are pretty solid. A couple good detail shots. There's a flat lay I think that I liked as well.
Pernell, you're 19, right? I think Pernell is 19 years old. So I think that's a important thing to keep in mind, everyone, is like this is a very young filmmaker who's really gotten started really early, which is something I really love. So that's kind of the first thing I would say is just knowing your work a little bit, and as you've developed and grown, this is a person that's continuing to grow in their craft and get better and better and better. And that's the biggest compliment I can give anyone is like, hey, last time I saw your work, it looked like this. Now it looks way better. So that's the first thing I'll say. The second thing I'll say is this is very smart, patient wedding filmmaking storytelling. You're not doing anything like super crazy and innovative or anything like that, but you're using toasts really well. You're taking your time with a lot of things. You're not trying to do anything that crazy. And so I look at it and go like, this is how you should be developing as a wedding filmmaker. If you're new, you should make a film this safe, and this is a moneymaker. This film.
Yeah, these are like it's so tough, Jay, because I think, you know, if somebody watched all of our things, I mean, I guess you would hear it too. But when you look at the films, like the filmmakers that we kind of hold in really, really high regard, right? A lot of them are trying. They're thinking out of the box. And they're making these crazy, epic elopement stuff. Sometimes, whatever. And they're very beautiful and great storytellers and whatever. But there's definitely something to be said for just that, like, bread and butter. You could sell this 30, 40 times a year easy.
Well, and it's realistic. This is actually, like, most people. The thing I know, you know, Pernell actually was messaging me, and he was like, oh, I'd like to see this and this and BTS's. And I was trying to think through it, and I was like, why don't I do this? What Craig does. Like, why don't I just walk around and roll the whole time and talk to the camera the whole time? And I'm like, well, I'm at a really nice wedding. And like, if I did that, it would stand out. I might get in trouble. We're like covertly doing these BTSs a lot of times. We tell people that the whole thing is like, hey, we're gonna keep it really down the DL, and I've noticed that with me as a filmmaker and us as educators, like sometimes where we're working is it's that 12 years in wedding, and it's easy to forget that everyone actually starts here.
Yep.
And this is the film that you need to be able to make to have a career in this.
You need to have that base to be able to figure out stuff and be able to stretch yourself.
You're not going to get the opportunity to shoot a 3-day luxury wedding if you can't shoot this wedding and shoot the crap out of it. So all that being said, very good. A lot of really nice stuff. And yeah, so let's talk about some areas to improve. What about you? You go first, because I have a couple things.
Yeah, so we mentioned the stabilization thing, and what it looks like to me, exactly like Jay said, it's a lot of like rotating that just doesn't work.
Unflattering handheld action.
Yeah, and so he's shooting Black Magic, and I seem to recall us talking about this previously, where I almost wonder if that's a detriment in
Oh,
some
big
ways.
detriment. I mean, I think,
Yeah, I think but I think we've talked about that before in the past. Okay, couple other things. One, Jay, you brought up a good point, which is one of the first things that I saw in this, and a question that I think is worth answering, which is, do you need to show the venue? I think no. At least some amounts of it. I love the drone shot. I don't even know if that's showing the venue. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Definitely
there were a
that's
couple
the
of
venue.
drone shots. I think those totally worked. I do not think it was like the third shot we saw of the overhang thing out front and then the front of the building with the cars. Like that stuff does not look good, is not doing you any favors. Like it is okay, in my opinion, and maybe Jay, you'll disagree, to say this venue does not look good from the outside. I am not showing it from the outside.
I think
that's
you need
perfectly
to
fine.
show something of the place where the wedding is. You need to find a way to include a sense of place in your films. I don't think you can make a great film and not give a person a sense of where they are. That being said, you don't have to just literally show the building.
Yeah.
Like when I look at this, I go, this is not a nice shot. Like it's almost a nice shot, but then there's a lot
There's
of
a bunch of cars and
This right here is gorgeous.
Great.
This is beautiful. And I think that what I would say is going from there to there hurts the film.
yeah.
That's beautiful too. Like
Yeah,
and
totally
so
works.
but also I do think if you shot it, this might be the venue right here or something. If you shot it from the other side and didn't show the parking lot, it might look a little nicer. But anyway, no, I don't think you have to. All that to
Yeah.
say.
And then also I think I felt like I was missing, and maybe we just didn't see it, but like I didn't really feel a whole lot of establishing shots outside of the drone stuff and kind of those established shots that we didn't like. But like, where's the wide room shot of the reception or the ceremony or like table details or stuff like that? I don't remember seeing a lot.
No,
of it. Maybe I just missed it.
I think in general the film, like for instance,
I don't
like
think it
this,
had a lot. Like I don't want to see that.
that's ugly.
Yeah.
Like look at those lights. Like I think there was some B-roll and a lot of it was not nice looking. I actually think the B-roll was the worst part of the footage.
Yeah. And so then what I would say in a lot of ways would be, and you've heard me say this before, again, I know you got to make a film of the length that you promise, whatever. This film should have 2 minutes cut out of it. It should not show a lot of those B-roll shots that I don't think are doing you favors. And it also, I don't need to see every single pairing come down the aisle and every single pairing come into the grand entrance. That stuff
No.
is for a doc edit if they buy it. I like, you can show somebody, you can pass time, you can show a couple people if it's done well, maybe. But like showing everybody to me for both those is just, it's just stuffing your film.
No
And
bad
I don't think
shots.
it adds
That's
a
the
lot.
rule.
Yeah,
Like no bad
yeah.
shots. Like you should make the film
No.
that you have the shots to support. And so I'm gonna give two critiques because you kind of gave everything. The first one is your handheld shooting. You got to work on it, especially if you're gonna use a no IBIS, no like
Yeah.
the most stripped
Not
down,
forgiving at all.
the least forgiving camera system you could
Yeah.
ever do. I will say your focus is nice. considering
Yeah,
the
I've
camera
actually,
system.
I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I was like, oh, actually, things are pretty well in focus. There's not a lot of jumping around, which is usually the case.
So I would say, like, really, really, really get yourself some. If you're gonna and you're committed to this color system and you like it a lot, try to get a better handheld action. And then the other thing is like, there's a lot of stuff that's really underexposed in this film. And I'm assuming you're not shooting camera like B-raw, but if you are, I would give it more. Maybe go to the second native ISO in the church, start there, and use your aperture to control your light and not your ISO, because if you're using like the first native ISO point on this camera, it gets so noisy on the in-between. And you really, like, that's part of the strategy people don't think about, Bobby, a lot of times is like when I start a reception now, if I'm shooting like vlog on my Lumix, we start right at 4,000 ISO. Because that's the second native ISO point. And it's like, we're going to need it. It's like having, but if you shoot 3200 ISO on that camera, it is so noisy because it's like right before that second native ISO point. And native ISO, if you don't know, is like basically the least noisy-ish, where the sensor is like kind of like calibrated to look just totally normal. And a lot of modern cameras have dual native ISO. The reason why people love the Sony a7S III is that the second native ISO point is like 12,500, right?
Yeah, I don't know because I don't really shoot log, but probably.
Yeah, if you're shooting log. And so like you can just crank that up there and it looks totally clean. And I think I'm looking at this whole ceremony and it just looked dingy and dark to me. So, but this is the biggest thing to me is like the handheld. Like look at the horizon right there. You can just see it's kind of That's my biggest beef. And I think I would second what you said in terms of you don't need to show everything. Don't do that. And you need more B-roll, and it needs to be higher quality B-roll. But it's a very good film, and you're really did a great job.
Sweet.
Cool.
Hamid asking, what would we do differently? I think we just told you. So if you missed our critiques, you can rewind.
I would, just to answer his question real quick, I would have shot a ton more. And I would have tried to add one extra camera of coverage just to give me those options. I would say the more like basic your wedding is, the less like sexy stuff that just overtly stands out, the more footage you need to build a really compelling film. I found that.
Fair. All right. Well, hopefully you found that helpful, Pernell. Thank you for submitting. It was fun to see some growth in your filmmaking, and hope you're able to take away from that, put it towards another film upcoming for you this season, and we would love to.
I'd love to know if you're gonna stay on Black Magic or if you're gonna switch.
That would be an interesting conversation. I would like to know that as well. I would have a hard time justifying shooting Black Magic. I did have a hard time. I had it, and I said, I can't do this. But
what would I price this at? Pernell asked that. Okay, so this is an interesting question, and people do this a lot. And we might go a little longer on certain things today, guys, because we have this 3 o'clock time, so we're kind of just we're not in a rush. But people often ask this question, right, Bobby? How much is this film worth? Like that's one of like the top 10 posts in like a new filmmakers Facebook group. So when I look at this, when I watch people's work, I don't often think about how much it's worth at all. Like
it's just too hard to say. There's so much more. There's so much that goes into it that we can't account for.
Well, and additionally, prices, like the thing to keep in mind for everybody is you need good work to create demand, right? But you also need like demand to create price. So I think most people, like when they first start, I would say to answer this question, Pernell, to me, it looks like an inexperienced person, but someone who has talent. And I would think you would have, I don't know, where are you based out of, Pernell? You're New York City or New York State or Jersey or something, Northeast. So like, I think there would be no issue charging $2,500 for this. I think that would be.
Yeah. Pernell's saying he wants to charge 4K. Do you think that's fair for this? Maybe depends on market. I think you would have. Well, I think it's more an issue of like, look, maybe I'm totally wrong. That venue doesn't strike me as somebody who's has the budget to probably pay 4K for a video.
Yeah, I would say a person charging 4K.
Pennsylvania.
If you reliably want to be in that 4K price point, you should probably be at weddings that are like $80,000 cost.
Yeah.
Maybe 6 figures. Maybe like entry level 6-figure weddings.
Yeah.
That it would, if you're shooting weddings at that price point, this is the way I look at price, guys. 3 to 6% of the total wedding budget. You're like, I don't know what that is. Well, do some research, figure it out. You can get the price of venues. You can look at you can easily figure out that the venue costs $30K and they make you get food. The wedding photographer costs $10K. They did 20K of florals, you know, 1,300 I think is low for that. 2,500.
I think it's low for that too. Yeah.
2,500 I think is perfectly fine.
Yeah, again, missing a ton of variables, knowing you're in the U.S., I think 2,500 would be.
That being
all
said,
day. I think you could get that.
I wouldn't charge 2,500 if I had no one reaching out to me.
Yeah. Also, I will say, even though we said this film probably would have a tough time 4,000 for a lot of things, again, we're just kind of speculating first and foremost. But second, on that note, I don't think you couldn't get to $4,000.
Oh, no.
I think you totally could.
It's not about the film to me. It's about, like, clearly you don't have the connections to charge $4,000. That's what I look at. Like, you're not working with, you're not consistently getting, you're not working at the venues or with the partners that would get you that price tag yet. You need to be working probably a little bit bigger weddings. Now, not totally. Anybody who's listening to this, if you can charge $4,000, it doesn't matter what wedding you shoot. Do whatever you can get away with. If you have a bunch of demand, lots of people are reaching out and they want to book you, yeah, keep raising your prices till people stop paying it. And that's what I would say to try, really, is Purnell is like, if you're charging 13, how many have you sold at 18 or 20 or 2? Like, sell some at 2,000. If people buy them at 2,000, sell them at 2,500. If people buy them at 2,500, sell them at 3,000. Like, that's how people raise prices. Like, you keep testing the audience and see how they react. Yeah. You don't just go, here's this film. This year I'm going to make films that are 3 times better, so they're going to be 3 times more money. Like, that's not how it works.
You'll just lose the support around you, kind of. All right, should we move on to our next film?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right, is this Lynn Productions?
Second one, yeah. And Purnell, if you don't mind, while we're looking this one up, just clarify the question.
All right. Lynn Productions coming at us with a 5-minute highlight and a 30-minute doc film is what they purchased, and that might be all that we have as far as information. So Matthew is not a member, so we will watch about 2 minutes of this film. Reminder, guys, if you want more of your films reviewed, consider becoming a member. Hit that join button next to subscribe, which I hope you are already subscribed. It starts at just $5 a month, and it gets you some privileges as for being a member, one of which is getting more of your films reviewed. But without further ado, looking at this film from Lynn Productions.
All right.
Let's bring in this beautiful color.
Those 2 kids who met in the bar on a random summer day never expected to end up here 6 years later.
It's pretty.
Little did we know that was the beginning of
audio. Sounds like Apple Podcasts. Or podcast.
Say that if I hadn't met you, I'd probably still be living at home. And
I don't feel like it sounds like that to me, but I'm
right.
not. I hear the wonkiness, but it doesn't feel clean enough to be.
You know me better than anyone else in this world, and somehow still manage to love me.
Hold on, I gotta mute this.
This relationship.
So it's that scooped sound, right? There's no mids. It's like that.
Maybe.
It's like that scooped, crispy sound. It's very.
Yeah, it does sound crispy, but it doesn't sound like impactful. Like maybe it was run through Podcast Studio and then tweaked afterwards.
It just sounds really processed. So anyway, critique number 1: audio sounds too processed.
I like this getting ready stuff.
Oh, no, this is nice. So pretty. I want to. Let's look at this flat light.
For our next chapters, you're my best friend and one true love.
Some light.
Good editing. So this is a good example right here, Bobby, of someone using this the curve of the sound wave. Like a bell doesn't like stop, right? A bell's like, whoa, you hit a bell, and like using when you're editing, like allowing the music to give you like to lean into the way the music is breathing, and I like the way that he used the fade to black here. Like listen and look, right there. With the cymbal roll,
aligns with it. Yeah,
it's that's good editing. isolated lighting is really nice.
Yeah. Really doing a lot with what I imagine is a little.
Mm-hmm.
When I met you.
This is a good example of a really skilled cinematographer and someone who has great taste dealing with. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a normal wedding because these florals are really over the top.
Yeah, but just like the prep, my guess is based on what we've seen, nothing in the prep area screamed like, what a insane, gorgeous setup. Like it was all just like, kind of whatever. And you just, all right, let's jump around.
Yep. I'm going to go ahead to, what is this? Well, we've seen enough dad first looks. I just feel like, I know for me, when my Ellie gets married, it's definitely going to be meaningful, but like, I'm like, as a wedding person,
you're over it right now.
I'm over the dad first looks. Like, they're just like,
I'm cool with it.
I'm cool with
them. I like
them.
to give them their space. I'm not going to take it away from them. But yeah, sometimes it just doesn't work. I don't always feel the need to include it. I
just think a lot of times it's just not that cinematic. It doesn't like have a big. Sometimes it has.
It
no
usually
payoff.
feels very rushed too.
Oh, the dad sometimes is like
the
this.
Dads
like,
are just like, they're just like, wow,
like a coal miner, and the guy's like, literally like, what do we do? You just look, and you're like, no, you're supposed to like be amazed by your daughter.
You're supposed to say words, ideally.
The guy just walks in, looks at her, and then immediately looks at us and stands there staring at the photographer. And I'm like, that sucks.
This is Emmer, man and wife.
Okay, let's see.
The bride.
Here it is. That's good. That person took three angles to tell that story. Well, but in that story, like they're like movement, and then post movement. That's good. Like moment creating. I think that's really a good wedding filmmaking is like creating those moments. He's a great shooter. I really like his shooting, and his grade is so nice. The color grade is beautiful.
I really like it too. Yes. Also, that like floral arrangement, like that setup works really well with his color.
That I cannot.
Look at the little shades of Fiore Films right here.
Yeah,
that's a Fiore Films composition, big time.
That's all I'm doing. I told you I'm second shooting this weekend, which
there's still
again I
part
don't
of me
really
today
do,
that
but
I cannot believe that I'm the
going
one who
to.
gets to
I'm
marry
shooting
you.
stuff like that nonstop.
I promise to love and take care of you, and I will do everything to deserve your love. I'll always be honest, kind, and patient.
No,
but most importantly, I promise to be a genuine and loyal friend to you.
He hasn't been married before.
It's a long time coming, but I want nothing more than to be
we don't know how many filmmakers were here, unfortunately.
I love
it looks like at
really
least
like that.
I bet it's only 2.
Yeah, my guess would be 2, maybe 3, but we're swapping it up.
I used this song this week. I think we just used it in the reel we dropped for the BTS. All right. I'm watching this and I'm trying to formulate a thought about it because, it's interesting. There's a lot there's a lot to love about it too. So, all right. So why don't you start? What did you love about the film?
Okay, things I loved. Well, pretty much camera work throughout. I love the use of lighting. I love some really intentional framing. The color was probably one of the first things that we both said. We were like, oh, this is really solid color. I really like that we saw a switch in the film to a different vibe, really a totally different style of film in the second half. And I think I could have seen myself, if we never got to that point, definitely saying like, I feel like this is kind of lacking a little. And yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think through like kind of the story, but I feel like it's pretty solid. And a lot of like, yeah, like you kind of said, like visual story moments, which I really appreciated. So yeah.
I think I have a couple things. One of them is a bit of a very, very specific feedback that I see in really veteran wedding filmmakers is not being lazy about the boring moments, but like taking like the signature wedding moments, first dance, like all the things that are easy to be like locked down on your tripod and do a crap job on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what early wedding filmmakers do the opposite. They put a bunch of effort into a bunch of boring stuff, and then they shoot the most critical stuff in the safest possible way and boring, non-thoughtful way. And I think this person, particularly with this ceremony, they shot the crap out of this ceremony. They have so much content to work with from the ceremony. They have so much content to work with from like they're getting ready. Like you could tell this is just a really experienced filmmaker with good direction, smart filmmaker who's like planning how much content they need. Like this is awesome looking. Like, and it's like they have a lot of it, tons of different looks and tons of content. Yeah. Very beautifully shot. And then of course, just like these like standard wedding moments that are like easy to mail in.
But they look like, just like elevated.
And they didn't mail them in. I could tell they put like effort into it, and there's just, they're giving themselves enough time to get lucky too. Like you're shooting it and then you see like, oh, this is sick. Like a bunch of leaves fell. And like, that's awesome. And a lot of times I'm like, you look at somebody, and because I get a lot of new filmmakers for Merriment Films, and they'll bring us their content, and I'll look at how they cover a detail or something, and they like shoot for like 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then they don't have enough. This is not what this filmmaker did. So that's one. Great coverage, really smart. Obviously your color is incredible. I love the way your film looks. The way like you covered that exit, that drone shot was incredible. There's the dance floor looked good. I mean, there's nothing that looked bad in this film.
Yeah.
And I even enjoyed the little turn that you made from like kind of a more slow down sentimental film to a little edgy and a little fun. I think that was good.
Really kind of flexed two very different muscles, creative muscles.
Yep. I don't know if this is a drone, by the way. It might have been like, I don't know what that was. It looks like a drone, but maybe it's not.
Or something, yeah.
But it was awesome.
Either way, and again, the last thing I want to say is I kind of mentioned it in the prep, but I think we're kind of seeing it throughout. I think they really did make a lot with a little. Mm-hmm. Like I think they elevated what this venue looked like. That's how I would put it.
It's like a micro backyard wedding, which is great. It's cool, but they just did a small venue or something.
But that's something like that could be hard to shoot. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Now, given this is a gorgeous couple, very stylish with great florals, and like they took what the couple gave them and they just built the film around all its strengths.
But also a couple that, at least by my account, seems to be really down to like follow their guidance and like is into getting a awesome film, into I assume getting awesome photos.
Really, really, really good. So let's talk about some things. Maybe that we would change because I think they're not necessarily things that they could improve on, but they're things that maybe we would choose to do differently. Good way to put it. So,
all right, I've got one.
Yep.
And we're seeing it right now.
Yep.
Look, I love the transition. I love the way this was shot. I think that a lot of handheld or just a little more motion, a little more movement, looks really good. I don't even necessarily dislike the film grain. I think I would use a different one. I guess I will put it in two parts. One, I think I would use a different film grain. It's just this overlay with little white weird blotches that you're seeing.
Those dirt and hair is what that's called.
Yeah, it's like scratch or whatever. And like that to me seems like a cheap one. I would recommend using something that's more like film emulation.
Well, it's just a little very strong.
Yeah, it's very in my face. And which again, I can forgive that, I think. Like I think it works for a little while. But it's the combination of the one you chose to use and how long you chose to use it um, for me that I would do differently. One of those two things. Either use one that's film grain, scratch, dirt, whatever, but maybe a little lighter, a little less in my face, something like that, or just don't use it for like 2 minutes or
Yeah, I think the length of it is the issue I had.
Yeah.
But I have a minor issue with for the audio is pretty weak. You got to figure something out for that ceremony. That audio is.
Yeah, I never really comment on that stuff because
either the way you chose to mix it or however whatever happened, I can hear if there's an issue there and it sounds really bad. That's definitely the worst part about the film. But you probably know that. I think the other part about the film that I don't know if this is a negative. It's just a thought. I feel like this film would have been better if it had a 30-second hype intro to introduce the fun side of the couple earlier. Because and it introduced
even like okay, I follow what you're saying, but I would say this. 30 seconds might have been too long for this wedding because I think the first segment is so like clean and emotional and really well done, but I could totally see like 15, like give me that little creative hook, show me that there's another side coming.
I just think like randomly this person like adding this hard film grain and then we're randomly getting these like panel frames, right, like these, and like I think like you have a lot of ideas you're teasing at the end that you're just feels like it just like explodes. I feel like it would have been better if we established some of this vibe early in the film and then brought it back down.
Yeah.
And I think
yeah,
like
it could have been cool.
Like if you
want to, my guess is they had the footage to do that too.
Well, and they're good enough at editing. They're good enough at shooting. They could do anything they want. So
Yep.
I'm curious, like if this is where they want to go with their brand, if they want to be a little more edgy, and they want like more couples like this, I think you could get away with whatever you wanted. And I think like go for it. Like don't hold back. Like next time you do like this edit, like start the film hard, go hard from the beginning, establish the identity of the day and the couple in the film. Like, that's really what I would say. That's the most concise way I can say it is I don't feel like you got the true identity of the day and the couple until very late in the film. Like, who you saw them at the beginning was a portion of who they are, and it's not untrue. It's authentic. But I think, like, one of the things I try to do early in any film that I do is, A, establish our style really early. And if it's go as hard as I'm going to go so that people understand what they're in for. And then B, establish a 360 perspective of the day and the couple early in a film, and then give people that break, and then it feels like an actual break instead of like kind of a slow ramp up. Like I'd rather go, pew, and that's why I say it's just me. I will say though that I think for your brand, you can afford to go a little harder earlier. I think personally, but it's very good.
So. CGM, and so CGM Production Films wrote this, and then I'm gonna push back on it. He or she wrote, "Here's my take on intros. If it blows all your best shots so fast, then the rest of your film you're trying to draw things out." I would heavily disagree with that. I would say a couple things. One, if you don't have, if you can, I mean, I know you could make them all half a millionth of a second, right? But like, you should have plenty of good shots from a film. So that might be a shooting issue. Also, there are a lot, like I'll have a lot of shots that are similar or something where if I'm not going to do an intro or maybe a quicker portion or whatever, I'm really only using one of those probably anyway. And so that's a great place where if like I have a silhouette shot, but I have it kind of 3 different ways, I can use one of them in the groom getting ready, and I can use one of them in the intro.
Well,
they're similar, but they're different.
Not every wedding is suited for an intro. So, like, I'm not saying...
to be fair, I think this is more general. This is not specific to this film, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm speaking in terms of this specific film, but I would agree that not every film, not every wedding day...
definitely not. Not every couple.
Not every wedding day has enough content to really do it. So, I would agree. I feel like this one did. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, and then in general, the last pushback I would make on that is the reality is outside of the couple, a portion of their closest friends and closest family, most people who are coming to your site are not going to watch your full films. That's just the way it is. And so the decision to say, well, my best shots, I want to save it for this emotional part at 4 minutes in the film, could, in some ways, be a disservice to yourself. Again, I think you want to come away with, I mean, ideally we want to come away with 100 amazing mind-bending shots. That probably doesn't happen, but like, you want to have enough that you can do an intro if the wedding or the day or the couple kind of calls for it, while still having some stuff for later. So, but yeah, like having some of your best shots early is important too.
Yes. I that's what I actually think is the opposite. Is if all your best shots are 6 minutes into the film, probably the person who you want to buy your next film is not going to see it.
Yeah.
So
it's a weird fine line we have to walk.
Would you ever use the same shot twice in a film? That's the question they had asked Bobby.
I really prefer, like I said, I feel like there's a lot of ways to. I'll answer it like this. Yes, with two like thoughts that go into that. One, was the first time I used it like half a second, like a
Brandon's
really quick
here.
Bump, you know? And if it was, then I would be willing to use the full like, oh, it's a silhouette of the bride in her dress in front of the window, and in the intro I went bum with whatever that was, 6 different shots.
I would say
I'd be willing to use it then later.
I would say it depends.
Yeah, if I sat on a shot where it would be recognizable, where somebody might say, oh, that shot was already in there, I think, I would try to repurpose that shot. You can punch in 30%. You can, I don't know, you can do a variety of things. You can
compose.
Yeah, compose. What's the word?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So
I would say
yes and no.
If the way I used it was a quick flash and I think the person might want to see more of it, if like by showing it a second time, I'm getting additional information to the viewer, then I think it's okay to show it twice. But if it's not giving additional information and I'm just covering up for lack of footage, no. But I mean,
the other thing there is like, that's a whole separate issue ultimately.
Exactly.
So.
You want to do Brandon now that he's here?
Yeah, Brandon, you are first, and we saved it.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy. You're welcome. So we got a retreat coming up, Bobby, huh? We got, guys.
We do.
We got like 2 more days to sign up if you would like to go to Clarity. And
hang out with us. And
$19.99 price tag. That's your room. That's your food. Everything.
One-on-one education.
Everything
coaching,
included. So we would love if you want
some
to
fun
sign
hangouts.
Up. Yeah, it's gonna be great. We got a bunch more people coming.
I just bought my ticket finally because I'm somebody who puts things off to the last minute. I don't know what to tell you.
I can't wait.
I will be there officially now.
We got a bunch of special surprises, and I made sure to get good. This is what I'm gonna tell everybody. One of the days, we got lobster for lunch. So
heyo,
let's go.
East Coast, it's the place to do it. Sweet. All right, so we got this one queued up. I've seen this posted a couple times, so I'm just going to answer it real quick. Pernell saying, what are your thoughts about cameras, tripods, photographers, etc., being in the background of the film? Avoid it if you can. If the shot needs to be in there, try to repurpose it and cover it if you can.
Photographers,
otherwise,
I feel differently about, by the way.
That's true. Yeah, I've lumped a lot in there.
Like, I don't ever want to be in. I don't want to see any of my stuff in the film. Like that. That's a mistake.
I am more forgiving if it's the photographer. Let's put it that way.
Photographer, I don't really.
I'd still try to avoid it if I can.
Yeah, sometimes I'm totally fine with it. It kind of depends on the way we're shooting and editing the film. If it's like much more of like that kind of.
True. Yeah, that makes.
It kind of depends, but in general, it's like it doesn't really bother me that much. Like for certain things. Anyway, let's watch this film. What about Brandon's stuff?
All right. Brandon said shot on Panasonic. S5, G6. Moved locations a good bit, but only brought the camera and audio gear I needed. No tripods. Lighting for the ceremony was not ideal. Instamic on the bride, and this was, yeah, the film, ceremony, and speeches, dances. But sweet.
Let's see, Brandon, I'd love to know where this lands in your year last year when you shot it, and if there's anything that you feel is different than your other work, because obviously we looked at a lot of your work, so I'd love to know if you feel what you feel is either different or developed or grown since your other work. Kind of Ray Roman vibes there.
Brandon, is that a gimbal sitting on the floor? Since you had no tripods? That's my assumption.
I'm about to kiss you right now.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so ground gimbal during first looks is so clutch, guys. The gimbal on the ground during first looks, the gimbal on the ground center aisle shot. Like, you can do so much with that.
I do that.
Oh, dude.
I do. As like my safety after I follow in the bride or something. I'll just put it down and be like, it's staying.
Yeah, it's I like that. So anyway, gimbal on the floor, always key. It's a nice hack. If you don't do it, try it.
You look so cute.
Lacey, it was almost 6 years ago when I agreed to join a friend at a bar to watch a Clemson football game. Turned out to be the greatest choice I've ever made in my life. You quickly became my best friend and the love of my life. The joy you bring me cannot be measured, and I'm blessed to call you my wife and spend the rest of my life with you. I vow to always support and be with you in every life decision we make, and to be your best friend on the best and the worst days to come. You are everything to me. I love you.
Lacey, growing up with you has been one of the greatest gifts. We conquered Amory's craft days and adventure days together. You threw some of the most fun high school parties when you were in elementary school. Watching your success story is something out of a movie. The little timid girl I used to play dress up with is one of the most successful people that I know. Your passion, your drive, your undying love for life are truly unparalleled.
Gregory, from our very first interaction, I have been in absolute awe of you. You are the most genuine and authentic human being I have ever met, and are humble and kind with everybody you meet. I am blessed to have the honor of loving you. In our marriage, I promise to remain, above all, your best friend and a true partner. I vow to be vulnerable, even when it's very hard for me, to communicate, to always try to shift life's burdens from your shoulders to mine. I always promise to seize each and every opportunity to bring you joy as we experience this beautiful life we've created together. I commit to loving you fiercely and unwaveringly as long as we both shall live.
Because I truly believe that my sister walks on water, I knew it was going to be almost impossible to find a partner that met our approval. Mostly myself and my mother. Having a front row seat to your love story has been absolutely incredible. My favorite part about your love is how you love each other for the most authentic versions of yourselves, and I hope you never lose that. Lacey, on all your worldly travels, please never forget that home is in Greg's arms. And Greg, please take the best care of my baby sister. I know you will.
May your life together be filled with love, laughter, and endless happiness. And here's the beginning of a wonderful journey as husband and wife. Lacey and Greg.
Yes, Burnell.
Now in front of your closest friends and family, I am, by the power invested in the state of Tennessee, how that happened, I'm not sure. I now pronounce you Mr. and Mrs. Gregory McCullough. Greg, you may kiss your bride.
Okay.
Sweet.
All right. You know, that's in a lot of ways just very on point for the way Brandon shoots and edits for his films.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, if I saw this in the wild, or like you gave me 3 films, this was one of them, and then 2 were from somebody else, and you were like, one is Brandon's. I wonder if I could tell you.
Well,
feel
I
like
will
maybe
say
I
it's a
could.
little different, I think, than other stuff that I've seen, but from him. And so, you know.
CGM, his main camera was the S1, I believe. The G6 was his gimbal camera. Sorry if I wasn't clear. Well, he's in chat. He can let you know.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, let's talk about what we liked about the film and then some areas where we think it could be a little bit improved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think the thing I like the most about the film is just his. I think there's a lot of good establishing shots actually throughout the film. So
that was one of my things that I was going to say too.
And solid details, and just kind of good coverage of people in general, just hanging out, doing stuff. But I think it's just like always about like the storytelling, in terms of like connecting to the couple and just showing who they are and things like that. I think they would probably, I'm sure they loved it, and I think it's effective. It's effective when you like someone's able to give you enough of their personality in terms of telling their story and letting them tell their story, and I think he did that effectively. I also think a lot of the portrait work was very nice as well.
Yeah.
And I just see this as like a little bit more, even more refined, I think, as looking at his work than previous work. And I think that's a positive too.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, I was going to say we have a really good sense of place. I actually don't know that we have a great sense of place exactly, but we do have a lot of, we do in the micro sense, I would say. Like we're downtown in this like
vibe.
Nice building. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that the whole, and of course, like part of it is helped by the fact that, this couple chose this venue, they are at this venue, whatever, but the whole film kind of fits the vibe of the establishing shots too. So that all came together really nice. I think there is some really nice, there were a couple of bride and groom shots that I really, really liked. I am of course a sucker for negative space, but you had one you were actually a ways in front of them. I feel like they're walking towards you through the pillars on either side. And we also just saw one earlier, but kind of the use of the space, the use of the lighting within that space, really, really
Well,
cool.
I
I
mean,
love this. Like that backlit stuff looks
Yeah.
cool. The white, yeah, that one. So yeah, some really cool stuff there. Yeah, the detail shots were really nice. Basically, like, yeah, a lot of shots that I liked. I feel like the story was pretty solid throughout. I know you usually do a pretty good job of mixing in like a lot of different. I mean, everybody kind of mixes in audio, but like I feel like we always see a lot of like speeches and stuff like that mixed in, so to carry your story and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, so here's something that I have a critique on. I think the color's all over the place in this film. And I feel like that a lot of times when I watch Brandon's work, I'm like very taken up, like it's very jarring. So look, when I look at this shot right here, this shot right here is the perfect white balance. It's really
does look pretty.
It's beautiful. It's really nice. And you look at her dress, right? The very next shot, it looks like that.
Yeah, were these totally separate time? Like, you know what I mean? Like one of those looks like it's like almost like golden hour, and then one looks like it's like midday.
You know, yeah, I totally get that. But my opinion is like you should be balancing
more
for
can be done.
The white, you should be balancing for shadows, right? And then like right here, yellow dress.
He did mention that
blue
that
dress
or ceremony was pretty rough. So I think
I
self-acknowledged. But yes,
I think the way that it was handled was too orange. I think you should have I just think I would encourage Brandon to really, really focus on the whites when he's doing this stuff, because like it just sticks out to me when I look at some whites and I'm like, oh, that is so blue. That is so blue. That is so blue. It's just distracting to me. And that's my biggest critique. My biggest critique is like the color not being consistent throughout the film, and then oftentimes in the shadows, like it looks like, look at his shirt.
Yeah, it's very different.
It's a blue shirt right there, and it's like you got the adjustment's so minor. All you got to do is just get it, warm it up a little bit so that it looks more, like less. Anything that breaks immersion to me hurts storytelling and like that kind of thing. That's my biggest critique, is like just get more consistent with the color throughout the film.
All right, I feel like I have a few small things. One, right away, this is a personal thing, I feel like, but I don't love especially the first shot. I don't like that it's just a guy walking. I get the concept because you roll into the first look and you kind of let that sit. But like, it's like the guy's feet, which I just think is a fine shot. I mean, it's whatever. Like, there's nothing spectacular about this.
It's definitely not shot that well either.
And then it's a extreme like macro of the bride's earrings. I think both these shots could have a place in the film. I just don't think
shot would be better.
What I want to start on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Like I would cut those first two and just start right on that building and then the guy's back. Like I kind of get what you were going for, but I just don't think those two shots are that
I would agree.
Wrong standalone. The second thing, I kind of mentioned this. I feel like I really, really loved all those like architectural shots, the use of shadows or the timing when you shot it, the color on it. I thought on most of them, when you were focused on that, looked really, really awesome.
Looked great.
I would have loved to see a little wider. I mean, I'm going to say drone shot, but like, where are we beyond that? And that's something that like I'm sure I could get on a lot of other people about too, but I'm getting on you specifically because I think the sense of place was so cool on a micro level, but I'd love to see it on a macro level too. And then I feel like I had one other thing. I don't know that I remember. One thing that's I do remember. Okay. So I love that we had this transition, right? We transitioned to a different type of song. We went a little more upbeat for some dancing and, you know, stuff like that. I felt like the transition didn't match what we were seeing in the film for like the first maybe 20 seconds. Like it started to get upbeat, but we weren't really cutting any faster. We were actually rolling into her walking down the aisle. Something like just felt a little misaligned there. So
I was with you. To me, I wasn't going to say it, but I would agree since you brought it up. Like, I think the second song, the editing was too slow.
I think I don't know. Like it wasn't all of it. It was like where it chose to transition.
It just wasn't cutting. It wasn't cutting on like a boom, boom, ba.
Yeah.
It was like kind of just like cutting on the one. Just going.
But
it wasn't terrible. I was just like, maybe you could have done a little more, like put a little more. I'm with you, a little bit more of a little punch.
Like, yeah, it's almost like we transitioned music and then the film had to like kind of catch up to get there almost. Or something.
I have one thing I was gonna say. How do you feel about I felt like the last critique I would give is, this stuff I kind of liked, by the way. This like like paparazzi looking stuff. But the dance floor is so dark. I think I would rather a slightly noisier image, but like not have these like deep dead shadows you can't even see anything in. And so that's my critique would be like, I felt like the dance floor was a little too dark.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably.
But
it's not like it wasn't something where I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is rough." Though.
No,
you know?
I don't really feel like anything in the film was that bad, though. So I think like at some point, like when someone just does a pretty solid job, you're just kind of splitting hairs, and I think that's what you're doing there. And you know, a lot of it's just personal taste, you know. So
oh wait, no, that's just the previous film. Whoops, sorry. No. I had another critique for the previous film. If he's watching and he's this far in. Some of the framing, that was one thing I had thought about, it was that one where we went into the film overlay
lens?
and whatever. Yeah. It was just like some of the framing felt like it had a lot of headroom when I was like rewatching it while we were talking, but I was thinking about other stuff. So I don't know.
I would agree.
What you want.
I was kind of into it though, but I could see.
Yeah, I like it. Sometimes it was just like, it's like, cool if it's used infrequently enough, and it was like I was like, oh, there's kind of a lot of this where it was like became a thing.
You know what it is with wedding filmmaking and just filmmaking in general is like we're all gonna make choices, right, that not everyone's gonna agree with. And like you got to know though what those choices are. It's not that you need to do what people expect out of you, but sometimes people like do things and you're like, people react to a choice they made and they're like shocked. They're shocked that anyone wouldn't like it. And I'm like, no, you should just make the choice knowing that it's going to be your personal taste and you're going to stick to your guns anyway, which I think is great. And so like
there's a line there, of course, right? Of like, I don't know. It's so tough in a creative field because you should stick to your guns. Your creative choice is your creative choice, but there is also some like facts versus opinions. You know what I mean? Like, this is not white balanced, or this is overexposed. Yeah. Sometimes the like stick to my guns thing, not maybe me personally, but like for some people, is like taken a little too far.
100%.
100%. It's not really a question here.
Well, like you just gotta. I think it's more important than sticking to your guns or changing. More important than both of them is knowing when a choice could be polarizing. And like you could say like, I want to do weird color. This is what I'm going to do. I like it and I'm going to do it and I'm going to know that it's going to be attractive or maybe dismiss other people. And I think that's the key is like the reason why what we're trying to do as wedding filmmaking educators is help you understand this is what most people expect. I think that's pretty much what we're judging the films on. We're not really judging it based on like what some random cool couple who might be your perfect fit would think. And so
true. Yeah. We come from a different perspective.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want me to pretend to be like, you know, when you like tell an AI to pretend to be a different character and answer me like my ideal client.
Talk to me like a client with $100,000 budget who really likes
wants to have 10 people and go to Iceland.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing with like anything you choose to do as a creative is like just kind of like not being caught flat-footed. I think would be good. Like if you do something really creative, like, and it doesn't work, like you know what dial to turn if you want to stay in business instead of what's not working? I don't know what it is. It's like I'll tell you what it is. You know, if you want to know.
Also, shout out to members just popping off in chat. We got a handful in there.
We love you guys. Hey, make sure you stick around for the BTS today, guys.
Oh yeah, okay. People, while you're here, we gotta let you know we're rolling this. Or Jay, are we going right in? Like,
Let's
are we
do
rolling
it.
Right?
Let's go. Let's keep doing.
We are doing an extra long live stream just for you because we love you all so much. But the biggest thing, I don't know if you caught it, whether you're in the group, the Facebook group, which you should be, or I don't know, maybe you just saw it pop up on YouTube. We are rolling right into a premiere of our newest, latest, greatest, maybe? That's the word on the street.
It's good.
Behind the
I
scenes video. So we have a BTS video. It is full-blown 45 minutes, whatever, coming out right at 3 o'clock. So in 38 minutes.
And you can watch me set up time, not the full setup because we definitely rushed the edit for that section, but I set up, I like get there at one point and I'm like, I can't talk to you for this BTS. I need to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just watch.
Just take me in. So yeah, if you want to watch me set up
Jared
15 minutes, you can see that.
Yeah, for ceremony. Jay and Jared taking you behind the scenes on a real live wedding, actual wedding, not a styled shoot, anything like that. Multi-day luxury wedding in Vermont. And just one of those things. Again, Jay, we talked about this at the beginning, but if you weren't here, it's a great example of just, we all know what happens at a wedding behind the scenes, and this is a great example of it, right? Not everything was perfect. Nobody's fault necessarily, not throwing anybody under the bus, but just needing to think on your toes, needing to go with the flow and still create something awesome. And then the back end of that, of course, and one thing that I think we're kind of focused on in this BTS video that we are releasing in 37 minutes, start the clock, is the delivery of two very different types of films, a short form highlight and we'll call it a long form highlight, but something that we kind of excited to bring as a point of focus on this BTS, because I think a lot of people don't know what type of film to make always, and what's the difference between these types of films, what do my clients want, and how can I make this type of film with this wedding. And so coming away from this wedding that you will see with two distinctly, similar in some ways, but also different in many ways.
They're definitely a totally different vibe between the two films.
So we'll be running this right up to that release, and we would love for all of you to stick around, watch that right when it drops.
Someone brought something
take
up.
A step further, leave a comment. We would love you forever.
Somebody brought something up about podcast. We're actually starting to next week. We're going to start dropping some of the Ask Me Anything podcasts. We do have a couple interviews scheduled for the year, but if you would like to have your questions featured on the podcast and you have business questions, a lot of questions that are asked on this show actually would be perfect.
We should write them down or something.
Yeah, well, we could do this one. Let's do this. Wedding Film School / or weddingfilm.school/AMA. If you head over to there, and I'll put that in chat. If you head over there, these are questions that we will be featuring on the podcast. We will be answering the questions in as much detail as we can. One of the things about wedding education, like Jared and I, we're deep in, man, like as wedding filmmakers, like I really, really I say this all the time. It's hard for me to remember what it's like to starting out, like where some people are at. And I don't say that as a bragging thing. I say that as like,
for sure.
Listen, sometimes if we're not answering the questions you're asking, ask the question you want to know. Mm-hmm. Because there are definitely times where I'm like, well, of course everyone knows this, and they don't. And
the other side of that is, even if you did, right? We each started
12 years ago.
12 to 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So the problems at that point could be very different than the problems that somebody in their first 3 years starting now might be experiencing or facing. But even so, they are probably something that we tackled at some point. It just might have been later in our career, or, you know, maybe the transition for us in XYZ was really easy because we were already doing this something beforehand. Like it might not even occur to us, I guess is what we're saying, that this is something that people want answered or advice on, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, no questions are too dumb. Like any question you ask is valuable, and like we love it, and I've loved answering the questions. We've already done like 8 questions on the episodes we've recorded, and it's been a lot of fun. So I'm really enjoying the format, and I hope you guys are gonna enjoy it too. So
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's do another film. Jay, I need to desperately ditch this sweatshirt if you can stall for 2 minutes.
Yeah, go for
roasting.
But I like that sweater. It's very nice.
It is. This is my National Geographic sweatshirt.
Very good.
Partnered with the Parks Project.
So for those that don't know what I'm eating, if you're curious, I have this pile of peanut M&Ms right here. So I'd love to know what your favorite editing. So I'm going to do, let's do this. Let's do a poll. Or no, question and answer. What is the best editing snack? Nothing healthy, please. Because I want true answers. I don't want to see that you're like, my favorite editing snack is quinoa. Because I won't believe you. So I put a question in the questions. Let's see. I want to hear from everybody. What is the best editing snack? For me, this is about one of my favorite snacks. So while he's doing that, this is our next film. Joshua Stankia. And he says, wedding day film, full ceremony, was priced around $3,500 when they booked, have since increased to $3,500 or $5,500. Love to hear it. And this is what he says about the film. He says, feels like is a culmination of how I've grown as a shooter. It also has the limitations of my editing. Great. So, Bobby. So this filmmaker says that it feels like this is the culmination of them as a shooter, but has limitations on their editing. So I think we should look at in terms of their shooting skills and try to critique those, but of course try to look at some editing improvements because it feels like they're looking for feedback on the editing.
Okay. Give me 1 second, Jay, because I feel like, did our stream just drop?
I'm talking to people, but I guess could have.
Maybe my behind the scenes just dropped.
We.
Oh, weird. Okay. I know I still see stuff. I just my back end is gone all of a sudden.
Coffee, whiskey, and cannabis. That doesn't sound like a great mix in editing.
That will get you wherever you want to go.
Oh, yeah. I would go for it, I guess.
I think this might be why. I think I when I was checking audio levels, I think I logged out.
But anyway.
Accidentally.
Let's do this film.
Sorry.
You ready for
Let's do it. I am.
Can already tell I'm looking at some real tasty portraits, which is nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather here to
so
celebrate
good.
the union of two incredible individuals, Ryan.
Dude, Nerds Gummy
Brett.
Clusters. Heck yeah.
Ryan and Brett's journey began during a time of uncertainty. A little over 6 years ago, they found themselves evacuating their college
That's a nice
campus
looking
due to
shot. That's a
Hurricane
nice
Irma.
looking shot.
In the weeks that followed, they discovered a connection that would change their lives forever. It was obvious
That's a risky looking
they were
shot.
a perfect match.
Oh, my battery's gonna die in a second. I'm gonna go fix it.
Watch the film and then fix it.
Okay.
Swimming in the bright early morning
I like that suit.
Something's kind of weird about this color. It's kind of like
it's going for like that like vintage.
Excuse me. It
look.
reminds me of like flesh-colored crayons. It's just very like I would say like that overly graded 8-bit kind of look.
I can see it.
A little oversaturated. I mean, it's a look. It's definitely a look, but sometimes it looks a little weird.
I'm liking it for some shots, and then some I'm like, I see what you're talking about on some.
All right, let's push a little bit forward. That looked nice, really nice. I think I want to see
2,400 miles away to Canada.
That's a good
to live in a
establishing
van.
shot.
They've
Yeah.
always
I think
embraced
they
the
did
unknown
it on a boat.
and acted on unique opportunities. Today is no different as they embark on a new chapter of marriage together, one of the best adventures that there is.
Do you think, Jay? You think it's a certain camera
I think it's the way
that has that look? Because this has that look to me, but then other ones
it's the
don't.
way these shadows are. If you look in the shadows, like
Yeah, somebody's saying mist filter. I was wondering if it was that or like halation. Maybe I don't know. Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Just looks a
can't
little
quite tell.
That there is.
It just looks 8-bit to me. Okay, let's push forward a little bit here.
This is a 9-minute film. Is that?
Yeah, we're not gonna watch that. So let's see. I always like to watch how they handled the kiss. It's so pretty. This portrait work. What? Watch this.
No kiss?
Yeah. What did I miss? I'm gonna go back a little bit.
Oh, there it
Oh,
is.
that's really strange the way they decided to do that. Let's watch this.
Through whatever may come. Now, always, and forever. I love you.
Brett, you may now kiss your bride.
Whoa, that's a very different color.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place.
It's my pleasure to announce Mr. and Mrs. Walker.
Are they in chat?
I don't think so.
Alright.
Ooh, yes.
Ben Rector, throwback.
Okay, let's be honest. Ben Rector's pretty sick. You ever watch Ben Rector on his Instagram?
Probably not, but I will say this. Look, I like in a lot of ways, I feel like he's like the father of wedding music. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
He made music bed. I mean, I don't know, symbiotic relationship.
Like
They're
White
an
Dress.
awesome
Where would
company,
they be
but,
without
like,
White Dress?
I don't know. I seriously think they would get to where they are, but it might have taken longer. You know what I mean?
Like every once in a while, I'll still see a film. Like actually, we had a couple ask that. I think we did one film to White Dress this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
They're
a couple
"This is
was
what
like,
we want."
yeah, we want this song.
I
But-
really, really wanted to come down in like a music bed t-shirt or something when I switched, but I don't have one. So
Listen though, like when you look at like Ben Rector's Instagram is so funny, dude. What is?
He seems like a funny guy. I went to his concert a long
Oh, he
time
does like just
It was a
funny
good
like
time.
funny songs he makes up all the time that are so funny. If you don't go check out his Instagram, he will make you laugh. So okay, I love this shot here. By the way, that's why I actually stopped it. Was like, that's pretty sick.
Pretty sick. I
like
also
that
like
selective.
shooting on it's hard and it sucks often. So yeah, to come away with something that's like cool and usable.
Yeah, I love
like
that.
it.
Okay, I want to look at these portraits right here, and then I want to look at. Woo!
Grant, you should just look up his catalog or whatever. He's actually a quite good musician.
Ben Rector, if you have a couple that you're like, this is a sweet couple, but they're not that cool, but I want a song that works for them and that they will be happy with, but also I can edit to. Ben Rector's like this rare mix of generic and also fun to edit to.
I know we're just on a tangent now, but didn't he like, he was on Music Bed. That's how he got big. Not how he got big, whatever. I don't know. That's where we know him from. And then he was not on Music Bed anymore. And now he's back, right? Does that sound right?
I don't know. When I talked to Daniel at Music Bed, he was a big Ben Rector fan. So I think they might have, if you don't know how Music Bed works, they sometimes negotiate with artists to be on their platform. And they're pretty artist friendly. And so, yeah, I don't know. I do want to look.
Every musician's from Nashville, Brandon. That doesn't count.
This sequence right here is so pretty looking. Literally, just
this couple is awesome. Like you can just tell.
I would pay money.
Like,
look at that shot.
Oh, I love that.
That's
shot.
so good.
Brett, and no one was ever quite good.
Look at that sunset too. Like, come on.
And that all changed when I met Ryan.
Come on.
She fit in from the second that she arrived, and just a few short hours later, we were
Pretty.
having a sleepover, taking selfies at 2 a.m., and I was texting Brett to say,
Look at that nerd in the background.
I love her. I never could have imagined someone so perfect for him. We absolutely won the lottery with you, Ryan Gale.
Good
You are
light.
Not only my sister, but my very best friend.
Very well shot.
So Brett does it all. He'll climb a mountain all day to ski down it once. He'll meet a guy on a plane to Alaska and somehow end up surfing one
Real
of the
good.
rarest waves in the world.
Yep.
As impressive as Brett is, nothing is more impressive than him keeping.
I feel like the film got better looking. So, now let's go over to the dance floor a little bit.
Maybe.
I feel like I'm like one of the only people, I know it's not true, but who changes lenses for the dance floor.
I have a specific. I shoot almost all. Like I'll get like a wide, like whatever. I shoot almost all of my dancing though on the Sony 55.
I will always do. I have a very specific thing, which is I'll either in reverse order. And now your thing died, so we'll give you a chance.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I will do either like gimbal,
Yeah.
handheld wide, 50. And I'll do all three of those every time I do a dance floor.
I don't have a wide handheld lens that I like for dancing that I feel is fast enough and the focus is fast enough. I really just need to buy one because a lot of times I would love to go at the dance floor with like a 30 and a 50.
Yep.
Or like a 24 and a 50.
I think 24, 50 on a dance floor.
Yep.
You know, I just feel like it gets you two different looks, and it really helps.
For sure.
Because it stands out to me when I'm watching a film, and the filmmaker is just shooting 24, 24, 24, 24, 20, and it's just like it feels like the frame isn't really moving.
Yeah.
And so but good coverage. Let's just watch how they let's do this ending. Good. I will agree though, their coverage is really good. They did a good job.
Oh yeah, very well shot.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The shot through the I should do that. That's a good idea. I like using that foreground. That's really smart. Cool. Okay, so there's a lot to like here, and I think some of their own critique of themselves is
Wait,
valid.
can you go to the very first? Can you just silently play the first? I wasn't watching the first like 5 seconds.
Look how pretty.
Okay.
So pretty.
Yeah, very pretty, very pretty.
Cool. So what I like about the film is there's a lot of good shooting, but particularly like the way that they covered that the speeches and the dances and the actual like events of the day, so good. Like they gave themselves so many interesting ways to tell. If you shoot a speech with like your boring like shot on the person and the boring shot on the couple, and then you give yourself like a sexy moving shot or a handheld, or give yourself like, don't stop being creative during the toast. you can use those creative shots during the highlight films, you know?
Yep.
And I feel like they give themselves so much of that kind of stuff. And it just was like, you can tell this person's just working.
I find that stuff way easier to do when I have a second shooter. And I love having a second shooter for that reason.
For sure. I mean, at least an assistant.
If I can set up and just be like, keep them in frame on the 70-200, and then I can go on a gimbal with my 50 or something and get those popping those in the highlight just takes it to another level. Also, I forgot my battery's dead, so I'm going to go swap it.
Yeah, so what I loved about the film, additionally to some of those things I specifically called out, the types of shots, I felt like they did a really good job bringing in the space and bringing in that Florida location, bringing in the hotel. Obviously, there's a lot of good storytelling notes that they hit. Like, this is just, they kind of did it all in terms of, bringing it all in there. And, like, it was 9 minutes, and we didn't watch all of it. We skipped around a little. But I felt like, as I was watching the film, like, it was well-paced. There was a lot of like really beautiful shots in there that they were covered well, and you gave yourself, like, it didn't feel like boring, which was really interesting to me, because honestly, like, if there's one of the things that I literally don't know how to even articulate it is, why do I find some wedding films super boring and other wedding films that are kind of the same, I don't find them boring? And I don't really know the answer to that. I think it was like, a lot of it is like, when you show something to me, is it interesting to my eyes? And like, what I would say about this film is, a lot of the shots that they're showing are interesting to my eyes. So I don't mind spending time with it a little bit more. Like, I was telling one of the things I think that makes some 9-minute films feel normal paced, and some 9-minute films, you're like, oh my God, dude, like, get moving. Like, it's like, they're just like, there's not great shooting in the film, and it's not that interesting. But I feel like this film, there's a lot of really good shooting, and there's a lot of really interesting shots that I enjoy watching. And yeah, that's pretty much it, Bobby. And so you're not hearing me at all. There you go, Bobby.
I can hear you now.
There you go, Bobbert. So, that's my feedback. The thing I liked about the film, that you don't know at all what I said. So just deliver what you like about the film.
Like a 5-second elevator pitch for what you love.
My elevator pitch was a lot of good shooting. Obviously, some of those shots we talked about that are kind of signature shots that they did well. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, I felt like, even though it was a 9-minute film, like I said, it didn't feel like it was dragging. We didn't watch the whole thing, but I was like,
we watched a lot of it.
Like, when you look at, like,
it kept moving the whole time.
Like, you look at this right here, and like, you're kind of going to this dance, and like, that's a good shot. I don't mind spending time with that shot. Like, like, this is
that cut, but
yeah, I don't like the cut either. But I look at the shot and I'm like, okay, like, this is, she's putting her earring on, and then it's like, oh, I'm looking at her fingers, and then look, now I'm looking at her ring.
Dang, that is a ring.
Exactly. So it's like, they're giving me a lot to see in the frame, and so I don't mind it being a little slower paced.
Yeah. Okay, here's what I would say. I think one of the things that, look, there's a lot of beautiful shots, but and stuff like that. But I think one of the things they really excelled at is amazing coverage. Like, just so many good shots. Let's put it that way. A few hiccups here and there with color, but I think generally I did like a lot of the color. But there was some like stuff that didn't line up very well. I think this film really, really captured who this couple is, which is important. And I think that, like I kind of just said, and you also kind of just said, like, really just keeping things moving for a long film, to keep a viewer engaged that isn't the couple, is tough. And I think this did a really good job of it. And I would say, for many of those reasons that I just said, I know they came into this saying, like, I feel like this is a statement piece for my for my shooting and not for my editing. And I would really argue that I think this is a great example of doing both very well.
Oh, the editing is very solid. Edited. Yeah, the editing is solid.
Yeah.
So let's give them some critique, because I think we've given one a few times, which is very uneven color throughout the film. And this is the feedback I always give people. Is like, this is a hard thing to do. Not as hard as I think it seems, but it is easy to mess up, is probably what it is it's easy to mess up, which is a lot of people, they have good color that might be good from frame to frame to frame. But when you put it all together, you start seeing that it's very inconsistent color throughout the film. They're not handling whites the same way. They're not handling skin tones the same way. They're not handling their shadows the same way. I think that's in this film a lot. Saturation varies widely. The blacks vary widely. Like you fix that. That's an editing thing. And I find that to be the case when people get overly interested in one or two shots, and they keep grading and they forget to grade everything else. And I always tell people, it's like, if you break your grading down and you actually do it a little more systematically, you'll have these issues less, which I always tell people, first do white balance on the whole film, then do exposure on the whole film, and then you put your look on. But don't do white balance looks or white balance exposure look from left to right, because you're going to have things very, very wildly. And like when you do white balance, and I would say probably do exposure first, actually, because exposure is very dependent on, or white balance is very dependent on your exposure. Like, people don't realize that, but like however your film is exposed, it's going to render color differently. So if you do your exposure as one pass, your white balance as one pass, and then you put your look on. I would encourage you, like, have a little bit more of a systematic approach, and you'll probably won't have this issue as much as you did here. And then I think there is a good amount of like kind of wonky handheld kind of stuff in the film. There's a few frames where I'm like, you don't really need that one at all. And then I gave that critique about the dance floor. I would have liked to seen a little bit more Europe. Like, I felt like they were more varied in how they covered toasts than how they covered the dance floor.
I think those are all fair. Things for me, the biggest thing for me is it felt to me like there was one camera that was really being, I do think there was some color inconsistency. I think some of that is like, it happens, but there were a couple, I pointed out one, it was actually an odd shot in general. It was almost like you were kind of going down the line, but you're also kind of parallaxing on the wedding party, and it felt very green. So that one kind of stood out. There were a couple that stood out as just kind of being like off. But then there was what I would say almost was like, like one camera almost that just looked like this like vintage vibe kind of. And I kind of liked the look, but it stood out because
it looked 8-bit.
Nothing else around it looked. Yeah, and maybe that's what it was or something.
It just had less color, like less colored range.
Yeah. I really don't have a whole lot negative.
No, it's good. It's a really solid
like,
edit.
Yeah, I really, really like to submit a film, and I know we didn't watch the whole 9 or 10 minutes, but like we did watch a good chunk. And for me to every time we skip ahead still be engaged is like, it's tough to do. And there's a lot like, there's just so much good footage. I would love to know how many shooters they did this with, because I think this is something where he could say like, oh, it's 2 shooters or whatever, and I would totally believe him. But they could also say like, oh, this was a team of 4.
Well, here's what I'm going to say too.
Shooters. This is like, I would believe you for that too.
If you are wondering, one thing to look at, this is the way this is exposed right here on his face to allow that highlight, like that sunset
background
to like getting like your exposure to play nicely with the thing in the background is one of the art forms of this profession, and they did that really well. Like, this is so pretty right here, like so pretty, and like you're having that gradation in the sky, you're actually seeing it, and you're also seeing this subject lit really well, and it's just really, really smart, like setting the background up in the right way. I don't know if they had anything to do with where the person stood.
It was a conscious decision.
Yeah, it's really good. So anyway, Bobby, I think we should wrap this thing up because we're about to hit this this BTS in like a few minutes, but we hope you guys join us over there.
A brand new behind the scenes video dropping in 9 minutes.
But stay tuned. next
there now.
week,
That's the
guys.
premiere.
Yeah, next week we're dropping a new podcast and we're starting kind of our new format. Let us know how you feel about it. Submit your questions. And of course, if you want to meet us in Boston, it's going to be a luxury retreat at the Four Seasons. We got Ray Roman, Adam Grumbo, and it's all inclusive. Your ticket, except
And
for
me and Jay. And Jay.
us nerds. And we cannot wait to hang out with everybody. We got some really good people. The rumor is we might hit the casino one night. So
that's just the rumor. The rumor also is that this might be the best retreat ever made for wedding filmmakers in the history of humanity. That's just a rumor.
I've heard
It's
that
just a
rumor. I didn't start that rumor. I think Brandon started that. So
it was somewhere in chat, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we will see you all. Wait, we'll still be here next week, right? That's not the
next
retreat
week.
yet. Yeah. Okay. We will see you all next week, but we will see you live in chat for the premiere of a brand new behind the scenes film in 8 minutes. Stick around on the channel. Please hang out with us. We'd love to see you over there in chat. You can tease Jay and Jared for everything they do wrong in the film, which is probably nothing. But hopefully you learned a lot from that. Excited to bring another BTS your way. Those things, a lot of work goes into them. So we always appreciate if you give them a watch, give them a comment, that kind of stuff. And we will see you next week and also in chat shortly.
Bye, guys.
See ya.